What is up, YouTube and the Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk a little bit about the digital world's race to zero. Yes, the digital world's race to zero. So I've really been considering this topic a lot, and earning value on the internet since 2011. Was that around 8 years or so? Something that I can see happening is, well, you're getting more value from less output, from less production. And that's just how the market is going. More value for less need of producing something. That's how the whole industry is going. So it used to take massive energy to produce 1 unit of some form of value. So where does this all lead? This is also something I've been looking at a lot. Where is it all going? It is, if you ask me, it's a race to zero. It's a race to zero. The digital world is racing towards zero. A person may hear zero and then they get a lot of ideas about it. For example, zero sounds like something that's negative. But if you really take a look at what a human is, and what scientists now are saying is that everything comes from nothing, it goes back to nothing. So a human in many ways is a zero. A human in many ways is a giant zero. Why do we have numbers? Well, numbers is a consequence of when we have me and you, or you and them. That's 1 and 2. That's how numbers come in. And that's how you had numbers a lot. We see that the numbers are pretty useful. We can know what day it is. We know that there's we have invented it, 30 days in a month. We know what time it is. That's also something that, numbers are, we have found that numbers are useful. We see how much money someone has, how many units, how many units they have. Do they have 1 or 2 or 3? We can keep track of the iPhone. Is it the iPhone 6 or 7 or 8? You can see here how numbers can be quite useful. In a blockchain, we can see what kind of block it is. That's useful. But when it comes to value, especially digital value, what is it with digital value that is kind of interesting? Well, you can copy and paste it. You can copy and paste digital value. For example, if we have some digital item and we assign a token to it, but let's say there is other people can generate more of this, which is mostly a big thing with digital stuff. Even digital items in a game, many times you can generate more. So maybe you get an item. Wow, it's really cool. It's worth a lot. But someone else on the other side of the planet, they may also do the item. Now there's 2. Then someone else do it. Now there's 3. Supply and demand. Something that's easy to generate. What's going to happen with the price? What's going to happen when someone copy and paste the game and make more games? That is exactly the same. It's going to be more items. What's going to happen with the price? It's going to go to 0. But here's the key. That doesn't mean that there's no value. Let's look at the human. If a human is a giant 0, human practically is made out of nothing. If a human is made out of a 0, but still, even when they are made out of zero, maybe a zero is not so negative because we can see creation and at the same time be a creator. So yes, you see items that maybe is a zero, but this has an effect. Then wait a sec, if it's a zero, that means that everyone can join the game. Everyone can try out the game. Everyone can level up. And what do you know? What happens then? The demand increases. What happens when the demand increases? Then you get some kind of supply and demand effect going on. But I still think, wait a sec, we still have the zero that is coming in, but it's like a game. It's like a game of The Sims or something. It's a game of creation. So yes, something is going to zero. That particular instance is going to zero. But then people are going to innovate. But then that's also going to go to zero. It seems that the zero comes back. It's like the universe. Everything has to go back. It seems as everything has to go back to zero. Or everything is a zero. There's many ways of looking at this. So this might, I'm not saying, people can make up their own meanings and ideas of what it means for them, but I think it's a good kind of pointer that people should sort of be ready for it. That, wait a sec, especially everything in the digital age, it is a game of science fiction. Really, it's a game of science fiction. And there is a lot of belief systems that are involved in this. Science fiction. Ones and zeros. Even me talking about zero, I mean, in a way it's science fiction. But for me it seems to make a lot of sense from stuff that I've been taking in from other smarter people than me, and sort of where it's all going. So, the zero. What is good about zero? I think in many ways, when people look at projects, if they mainly in a way look at it more from a zero perspective, they can sort of get into more of an innovative flow where they can realize, wait a sec, if it is a zero, then maybe we should just focus on becoming competent and just do what we can right now, today, and not be so obsessed about the exact number. Because if most things are going to go to zero, or if most things are going to be digital, I can look at it with my eyes. So wait a sec, this is all kind of digital. So if it's all zero, that also in many ways means all abundance. Even though that might sound super weird. For a logical mind, that does not make any sense. Because the logical mind is going to look at, especially now when it's really into a flow of numbers. We cannot have a zero. We need a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And we need a percentage. And we need a graph. And we need a ROI. We need to know the ROI. We need to know the ROI. We need to know how many numbers of humans we can use. What's the usability of these humans? How can we get more valuable humans? The logical mind, many times, is going to want to look at everything from a usability standpoint, which is kind of weird. Because if humans are zero, like, there's no such thing then as a human has to produce something, exactly something. The logical mind loves the idea of everyone should have a job that do exactly X amount of value. And people love the idea of a digital, even a digital safe haven. People love these ideas, and I love it too in many ways. I love Bitcoin, I love Litecoin, but I can also see that even this, like the idea of a digital safe haven, I mean, even the idea of blockchain, that there are people that are working on systems that might even be better than blockchain. The blockchain might not be the ultimate technology. There are hash graph, there is what more? I know another one also that's being worked on. I don't remember it in my head right now, but I think that people right now, they just want to use that word, a blockchain, and that is almost like the ultimate, and that a blockchain from 10 years ago are going to be what we're going to use in 20 or 30 years. Isn't an AI going to produce something way better? And in many ways, that's also scary for people. That, wait a sec, we may have to jump again, or if all goes to zero, that's going to be confusing also for people. So, a big zero. So something that I was considering a little bit is how a digital race to zero. Okay, let's say we have a game. How can value still flow? Okay, let's look at this. So if everything becomes so abundant, that means that almost everything is going to be available for you for either free or extremely cheap. Probably free. So that means that people need to have, or they also need to sit on less value, because almost everything seems to be going towards an abundant state, where a person doesn't really have to focus on much on ones and zeros or one numbers. Now, this might take a long time, but I think that AI might go way faster than people think in 10 years. So, yeah, okay, so let's think about a zero in a game. So, right now, how a lot of games on blockchains, how they work is you have an internal market. So, let's take the game EOS Dynasty, for example. You have an internal market where people are buying and selling items. But okay, you're a digital owner of items, but you can only sell them to make some profit. But I think that most people are going to rent and lease. They're going to rent out the digital resources so they don't have to sell them on a market. Because if something is digital and abundant, it makes more sense that people are just going to make super small passive income instead. Passive income is basically the future. It makes no sense that anyone would like to sell their whole thing that they have, because they're sort of proud in many ways of what they have collected, and most people would rather have some auto income coming in from some item. So instead of having this market where people have to come up with a lot of money to just get some base level items, you can have that people, instead of just rent these resources from players that was early into the game. And that incentivizes players to become digital owners and use digital equity, because this game also has equity with their TKT token. And this basically makes a system where a person is more long-term invested. And when they realize that the market is eventually going to go to a big giant zero, and almost everything's going to be near free. This might sound super weird, but we're already seeing it with other token systems. For example, if you want to rent resources, EOS tokens for resources, RAM and CPU, it's pretty cheap compared to having to own something. So if a person basically if they want to try something out, maybe some code or develop something, just experiment around a little bit. They don't have to own something, or if they want to try out the game, they don't have to throw up so much money, because they just want to try something out and see if it has basically long-term potential. So the digital world really is racing towards a zero, and I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but yes, it's production of value is going to be insane. But it's also going to make stuff just more open in many ways. But then again, technology can develop either way, because there's still humans that are running companies or whatever, and they sort of decide a lot how things go. So you can still create systems of artificial scarcity, you can. And we have it right now, even. A lot of artificial scarcity, because businesses, they need to look at the short term for short-term profits, where they basically should be backed up by having resources from larger systems, for example like governments, that they basically give out large or long-term loans for investing in people. Again, this is a very, how do I say this? It's a topic you can look at in so many ways, which is why I do hundreds of videos from different angles to try to put out a concept without, I don't want to, for example, I don't want to dumb down a concept. This is why I do long videos, because I feel that a concept, because for example, when I do, let's say, when I do a video on something, it's something that I've been thinking about for maybe weeks or months. So it needs to be a long video. And I may miss a lot of different points, or I am gonna miss a lot of points, because there's just so many ways you can look at everything. There are basically limitless ways you can look at everything. Right? And that is sort of interesting. But it's like humans are always paranoid about machines taking over, that they're going to take all the value away. But it's not really, it's just going to make it so humans have to worry less about ones and zeros, because it's going to be, if everything becomes like free, that sounds like some super weird idea. A lot of people do not like that, because they think there's going to be all chaos. No, I don't think so. It's just that we're gonna share resources much better. Not by stealing them, but people can generate their own kind of resources or their own units much better, much easier. Take Bitcoin, for example. You need to have expensive gears and all that to generate something. You need hardware, mining, okay? But with these new tokens, they realized you don't need any of that. You can just generate some in-game items that have some token tied to them. Wow, now you are like a Bitcoin miner. For free, basically. Or the resources that you're using, a smartphone, internet, it's going towards near free as well. So almost everything with almost all the invention we did with ones and zeros is going towards zero in many ways, because numbers in many ways are invented. Yes, it's probably by math, something. Yeah, we have the geometry of the universe, and yes, ones and zeros math is kind of elegant in a way, and it seems to be kind of accurate. But for humans, in terms of, like, for example, what humans focus on right now a lot is mainly is ones and twos and threes and fours and fives. All the numbers 1 to 9. They're obsessed about it. They should probably more look at, okay, how can we do other stuff? How can we become more competent? Competent is a very big word. So I'm very excited about the zero-based world, because humans can look at things then in limitless ways. Because, I mean, really, what does it mean, these? I mean, right now people use a dollar symbol, or let's say a fiat symbol a lot, to say something. $30,000, $100,000, $1 million. What does it mean? Maybe you don't even need that. I mean, for example, if you start a YouTube right now, it's free. It's basically free. I mean, you don't have to pay to start a YouTube channel. Someone else is paying. Something is paying for it. Someone that's betting on the long term. So a lot of other people are betting on the long term. So they're willing to give out a lot of resources for free. And that's basically how the world is moving. that the little guy doesn't have to do so much. They just focus on whatever they have in front of their eyes, and that's kind of nice in many ways. But as I said, I mean, this can go in all kinds of directions. All kinds. Craziness and stuff like that. It can also be paradise. But, I mean, if we look at history, we're probably gonna do what we've always done. Small improvements, sometimes big mistakes, whatever. Yeah. It's at least cool to be here and witness it. So yeah, have an awesome day, YouTube. Have an awesome day, Steam Blockchain. Bye bye.